3, 2, 1. From Rapid City, South Dakota, and the Hard Rocker Podcast Network, focusing on stories on and off the playing surface. This is the Hard Rocker Huddle.
Welcome into the Hard Rocker Huddle. My name is Josh van Valkenburg-Gernert. This is episode 33, and today we're talking to head coach Charlie Flohr. Obviously a pretty good start for you guys this weekend. Outside of maybe the first couple minutes, it was really never in question. You guys, outside of an early fumble, were able to get after it and pretty much sustain that throughout. What does that kind of do for your confidence level?
First of all, just going back to the initial trip, I was very proud of how our kids handled themselves. With us leaving on a Tuesday afternoon and driving essentially halfway down and practicing, and then driving the rest of the way to Rolla on Wednesday, play the game Thursday, and then us not getting home until 1:30, 2 o'clock on Friday. That's a long trip, especially on the academic side of things. A lot of our kids missed 3.5 days of school, and I was really proud of how they were focused. They were locked in for the trip, knowing that they were going to miss so much academically, not being in class. We gave them some time while we were on the road to get their academic stuff done. But just from the overall mindset of, our kids are here for an education first and foremost, and how they really focused in on, it was a trip, from a football standpoint, but also knowing that academically they couldn't fall behind. So very proud of them and how they prepared themselves for the week. Obviously huge momentum game for us when you're making that type of a trip down to a place that really nobody had been before other than myself. I'd been to Missouri S&T before at my previous institution, so had a little bit idea of what the crowd was going to be like, where locker rooms were going to be like, just some of those things. And, that obviously had helped out. But, our kids, other than, like you said, the first play of the game, I felt settled in early. They played well. They got better as the game went on. And, it's just from my standpoint, those are the things that we really talk about and preach, even from the first day of fall camp of, it's going to be a tough place. The first game is always difficult to go down and win. We knew we had to do, certain things in order for us to win the football game. And just, again, really proud of the effort that they put in during that football game and for us to come away with, a great victory against a good football team.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned that's a pretty good program down there. I mean, last year they went 6-5. Pretty much every year they're going to be, around that mark, above 500. A couple of years ago they won 8 games. How important is it to just be able to, go down and just handle a team like that on the road?
I think that it says a lot about our senior leadership. The guys that have put in a lot of time and effort to get our program to where it is now, and they've really done a good job with our younger kids, knowing that we still are a pretty young football team. When you go back and look at the statistics, we have a lot of freshmen, we have a lot of redshirt freshmen, a lot of sophomores that were big contributors in that football game and got some meaningful time. But also on the other side of that is we had a lot of seniors that have a lot of experience, and when you go back and see some of the bigger plays within that football game were made by those older kids, and they've done a good job of, like I said, bringing up the freshmen and helping them out, knowing that we're going to have to rely on those guys. And, that's going to help us out. Hopefully toward the end or toward the rest of the season is, it doesn't matter who's going to be on the field. We've just got to trust one another. I told our team before we went down and after the game, we were only going to take the 60 most mentally tough and physically tough kids within our football team. And, I was really proud of them because everybody contributed in that football game, whether it was they were on the field or off the field, and helping our other kids out.
Sure. Offensively, you deviated a little bit from what you usually do. Usually, it's kind of a more balanced run attack. This game, you really aired it out. Jaden had probably the best game of his career. He had over 400 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Was that something you kind of saw in the game plan ahead of time, or was that something you just saw early in the game that was working and kind of stuck with it?
We knew we were probably going to have to air it out just a little bit more than normal. They were bringing 6 guys back on the defensive side, primarily up front, with us having we have some veteran guys within the offensive line, but we had some new kids that really haven't played a lot, and it was just going to be a deal deal of we got to take what the defense has given us, and they were loading the box and giving us an opportunity to have those one-on-one matchups out on the perimeter. And I thought Coach Gent and the offensive staff did a good job of having a game plan ready to go for really whatever. You never know going into week one what you're going to get. Are they going to stay the same? Are they going to be different? They did have a turnover in staff last year, really during the middle of the summer, where they got a head coach that was the offensive coordinator before. Their defensive coordinator that they had essentially hired was on staff before, but they can also have some just different philosophical things. Even though he was on staff, he could have a different mindset on stuff. So I felt we had a good plan. Whether we were going to have to run the ball or throw the ball. Once we kind of got acclimated to what they were doing defensively. It turned into maybe a little bit more of a air attack that we end up using. Is that how we're going to be the rest of the year? I can't say that, but just proud of how our kids adjusted to what they were giving us, and we were able to make plays because of it.
Yeah, and we talked about the offense. The defense was pretty strong as well. I mean, two of the touchdowns that Missouri S&T got, they pretty much started within the 20, 30-yard line due to a couple turnovers. Other than that, I mean, the defense was getting 3 and outs. They didn't give up a ton of yards, only 2.5 rushing or yards per rush. So how proud are you? Despite not getting turnovers, they had a pretty strong game, too.
Yeah, our defensive staff did a really good job of getting them ready to go. Again, it was a situation where, not knowing who they were going to be offensively, they had a new starter who played a little bit last year, but just, again, what are they going to have? They had some receivers that we hadn't seen on film, and, I was just really proud of our kids, the way they battled. Obviously, you don't want to give up a lot of the points, but, 13 or really 14 of their 20 points were on short porches because of turnovers. And, we had opportunities even within those to get those guys off of the field or force them to a field goal. And we were just one play away, whether it been a technical deal or, just something fundamental or a scheme or something like that. But we had chances to get them off the field even in those short porches. So, defense played lights out. They didn't create a turnover. They had their opportunities. We just didn't take advantage of those opportunities. They got after the quarterback. We gave up a few explosive plays, but I thought they really responded well. And, they're a veteran-led defense. We got some good players on the defensive side that have played in a lot of football games. And then, again, that's the side of the ball where you can really see some of that younger talent that had to come step in and play some meaningful snaps and have to make some big plays in some critical situations.
Yeah, offense back to the offensive side of the ball. Last year you had 3 really strong receivers. Obviously this year, Jeremiah and Isaiah came out and looked as strong as ever. I mean, Jeremiah had almost 200 receiving yards, a couple touchdowns. Isaiah, obviously, plus the punt returning. Isaiah is just an absolute weapon on the field, whether it's, I know last year you had him come out of the backfield a little. How important is that to be able to have a guy who can beat you in so many ways? Yeah,
it just makes it a little bit more difficult on a defensive coordinator. Yes, this kid's on the field, but where is he going to be at? So, are we going to have to play man? So if you're a big pressure team and, we're bringing him out of the backfield, now they got to, match up linebackers on him, or, there's just a lot of different things that you can do to a defense just based off of what they do with a player like that. And then you throw Jeremiah in the mix, just with what he can do explosively. He can take the top off of coverage, but he also does a good job of, catching the short, shallow stuff and, making a guy miss or breaking a tackle and getting extra yards there. And, but we also had some kids in that football game that really stepped up as well. You look at a guy like Jake Leone, who's a tight end within our offense, but he had 2 or 3 really big catches in that football game. From the tight end spot. And, he's a kid that we feel we can continue to use more and more of. Mason Galbraith, one of our really redshirt freshman receivers, had a big 3rd down catch on a slant across the middle. Jack McFarland had his first college catch in that football game, a big third down. So, we've got some good skilled kids. It's just, again, a matter of, playing complementary football off of one another, knowing that, probably here in the next couple of weeks, more and more teams are going to focus in on the two that had really big games, but, allowing those other kids that have had some, playing experience now and some big catches, they're going to have to step up knowing, that they're defenses are going to try and take away from, what Jeremiah and Isaiah have been able to do, at least in week one.
Sure. From a special team standpoint, too, that's something that you probably kind of thought would be a strength coming into the year with Isaiah and then Casey and Connor both coming back as well. But it went pretty much as good as you can ask from the special teams. I mean, Connor went 3 of 3. Casey went, averaged 46 yards a punt plus the touchdown.
Yeah, our special teams unit, and we preach to our kids all the time. It's a big time facet of the football game, especially here in the RMAC because of the weather and in the wind and those types of things. So our kids are really locked into, how important the special team side of thing is. Anytime you're scoring a touchdown within the special team side of things with a return, that it increases your chances of winning, really is a big momentum changing type play. And then in regards to our kicking game, if you talk to Connor, it wasn't a game where he probably felt was hit one of his best, missing a PAT early in the game, not striking the ball as well as he thought maybe he could within the kickoff side of things, even in the placement. But, when we asked him to make the field goals later in the game, he was able to do that. And then, Casey having the 3 punts with a 46-yard average, it's, again, just another extra weapon that we've got within the kicking game. Very smart kid, gets the ball off quickly, has got a really strong leg with it being, a left-footed kick. The ball's got a little bit different spiral to it. And, just really proud of, when we needed those special teams to happen in critical points of the game that they stepped up and gave us some big points or were able to flip the field when we needed it too.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about next week. You're at home opener, Truman State. They won 9 games last year. What are you kind of looking at from, a game plan standpoint to be able to come out with a win?
A little bit about Truman State, an opponent that not a lot of people here in the RMAC or Rapid City know about. So, just a little brief history about them. That was actually my first full-time job after I was done with my grad work at Northwest. I was hired over at Truman. So know a lot about the program, know a lot about the school, very similar academically to what we are here at South Dakota Mines, without the engineering side of things. But, a lot of the same types of players, they're very sound. I've known Coach Nesbitt for a long period of time. He was a high school coach in Columbia when I was a GA recruiting his area. So I've known Greg for a long period of time, and just the nature of what Coach Nesbitt is going to bring in and what he preaches to his team. They're going to be tough. They're going to be physical. They're going to be very well coached. They're going to be sound, not give up a lot of big plays on the defensive side. Offensively, play a little bit more of a ball control. Up front there on the offensive side, every one of their offensive linemen is over 300 pounds. So they're big, strong, physical kids. Defensively, they don't give up many big plays. They try and keep everything in front, kind of that bend but not break defense. And then they're good on special teams. And, that's always been a staple of a Greg Nesbitt football program. Like you mentioned, they won 9 games last year, went to a bowl game. The year before they won 9 games. And then in 2019, right before COVID hit, they were a 10-win football team. They were ranked second in the preseason polls in that GLVC league. Rolla was 5th, so they were second behind Independence. So it's going to be a good football game. I'm really excited for our kids to get an opportunity to play somebody different, really somebody we don't know a whole lot about. I know they're excited to come here, and we get to make the trip to Kirksville next year. But, it's going to be a great football game. I know the stadium's going to be ready to go. I think our people here in Rapid City are excited about the direction of our program and knowing our kids are going to come out and put in a really good effort. This week will be, big for us. Again, just from a practice standpoint, we've got to get locked in with a totally new opponent, somebody we've never seen before, and know that we're going to have to continue continue to come out and focus on the things we can control, taking care of the football, the pre-snap penalties we've got to keep down to a minimum, win the conversion downs, and play harder than our opponent, which is something I think we did a great job of last week. So, again, another opportunity for our kids to go out and get better and, look for great things coming this Saturday.
Sure. Yeah, the one kind of thing, I guess, this past weekend that didn't go well was kind of the turnovers, and I know that's something that's extremely important to you guys as a staff. What do you have to do, I guess, defensively, special teams-wise, to create some more of those?
Just make the most of our opportunities. Like I said, we had 2, if not 3 chances where the ball was in our DB's hands to make the play, and it's just again focusing on those opportunities. Hey, when you get those, you got to make the most of it, because if we don't, it could end up hurting you later on. And so we got to continue to be a little bit more optimistic on the defensive side of the football. Work on getting the ball out or making the picks when the ball's in the air, and then offensively, we'll continue to do some stuff within our practice to take care of the football and do some turnover circuit stuff, and but again, it all comes down to just overall execution. We lost the turnover margin. We were -2 in that football game on Thursday, and end up winning the game. And we chart that stuff. I've got an actual graphic down in our locker room of since 2016 to 2021, which was really the first year, 2016, when South Dakota Mines was Division II. I think before the game on Thursday night, South Dakota Mines was 2-6 with a -2 turnover margin. So, for us to win a football game with losing the turnover battle, again, says a lot about, the kids and how we were able to, overachieve and be resilient with that stuff. But against a good quality opponent like we're going to see against Truman, they're a little bit more of a ball control, and we may not get those opportunities. So, yeah, that's something we definitely got to fix for this Saturday, is make sure we're taking care of the football on offense, and then defensively being a little bit more opportunistic with getting turnovers.
Just one last thing. I know you're not big on individual accolades, but Jaden Johansson, Isaiah Eastman getting RMAC Player of the Week this week. I know you had a bunch of guys last year who got those awards as well. What does that kind of mean just for the growth of the program in terms of maybe the respect you're getting maybe that you weren't before?
I don't know if it was, like I said, I'm not a big individual awards, but, it does give our program a little bit more, maybe respect within the league. We've got good players, and, I'm proud of our kids and how they continue to show up and work every single day. Big buzzwords for us is just try and get 1% better every single day. And, you can see that from day one is, our kids want to come out and be competitive in every football game. And we've got to go out and, play harder than our opponent. And, I think that's something, again, that we want to continue to be a staple of our program is, whatever the results are on the scoreboard should be a direct reflection of what we look like on the field. And if you can go out and play hard for a full 60 minutes, football's a funny game. You saw that last night in the Florida State and LSU game. Is it doesn't matter, what happens. It's always the next play. And, Florida State was able to block a game-tying PAT to allow them to win the football game. And that's what we want within our program is it's got to be the next play. That's all we can control is what happens that next play. And we got to make sure that we're doing that next play at 100% and giving it our all.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Coach Flohr. Good luck this weekend, home opener, noon, and we hope to see you all out at O'Hara Stadium.
Yep, thank you, Josh, and again, look forward to seeing everybody out this Saturday. Should be great weather-wise, and I know people in Rapid City are excited to have the Hard Rockers back at home.
That wraps us up for today. Make sure you pick up your tickets for the season opener this Saturday, O'Hara Stadium, noon, against Truman State. We're looking forward to seeing you all at O'Hara Stadium. This has been Josh Van Valkenburg-Gernert, signing off.
Thank you for listening to the Hard Rocker Huddle with host Josh Van Valkenburg-Gernert. Follow on Apple and Spotify.